Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Esports Community Talk once again. My name is Kid Liquid, and I'm here with Kitesing. And so we're talking about. So last time we talked about the group stages and what we were expecting for all of World playoffs and things like that. And so today we're talking about reviewing kind of group stage and what we thought, and the pluses and minuses of really what happened there, games-wise, and of course community-wise, which is why we're a Community Talk channel. And so Michelle went to the first day of group stage. How did that go, Michelle?
It was really good. I had a lot of fun. It was, I think, really close to what we predicted in our last show, or for my expectation-wise.
Yeah.
So it was really well done, though. The studio is really nice. This is my first time seeing the studio. So it was really, really nice, and I really enjoyed it, and the production was really good. As usual.
I think Riot just has set the standard for esports production at this point. But I was surprised how big they made the studio look. I mean, they fit a lot of people in there. They fit a lot more than I thought they were going to, which was surprising. So I mean, I think besides that, everything looked really good. I think it pretty much hit it on the head of what it was gonna look like. The screens, the Champion Select screens, and all that kind of stuff that they used at Gamescom and at PAX and things like that. But just the content they're putting out too. They put out content really, really fast for it. I mean, I know the VODs were up online and cut properly and everything else within hours of the game being played. The day wasn't even over and all the VODs were already cut. They were doing tons of interviews. Shox was doing a ton of interviews, and they did a whole bunch of side pieces. Anything you want to add? Because I mean, they were really kind of on top of it with the content.
Yeah, they actually included something that I was surprised that I've never seen before. On the side of the stage, they had the kill count for each team, and then they also had Dragon Timer on the side in a huge screen, so I could actually see what was going on. They had the gold. They also had gold listed on there, so if you were further back, you weren't completely in the dark.
That's actually really cool. I didn't notice they had that. I guess they haven't really shown that on screen. But,
yeah, I don't think they showed it, but it was really nice for our perspective, because from the far, you're right, the studio, they made it so much bigger than I really expected. So if you were sitting in the farther back up on the bleachers, it was definitely hard to see the CS, or I mean the gold count.
Yeah, so I think that's actually really cool. That's something really cool to add. So I really want to see how they do it even bigger for the Galen Center and for Staples, to see if they really do something like that. And also I think the biggest thing to come out of group stage, besides the teams and the matches and things like that, I think the most important thing to come out of there is the analyst desk. I mean, that took off in the community. It really did.
Yeah. Everybody was... Honestly, I think that was probably the most united I've seen Reddit in a long time about the analyst desk. So I'm really impressed with what they came up with, and it was just really nice.
Oh yeah, it's great. I just they got the perfect people to do it too. I think Montecristo, Double Lift, and Crepo are all just great, and they have the casters in there every once in a while. Riv's doing a great job facilitating, and it's just it was like a perfect storm, and they just meshed it really well. And I think they're using it sparingly so that you come back wanting more. It never gets boring watching them kind of just talk and rip on each other.
Yeah, I think they were just testing the waters a little bit and just seeing what kind of first of all, what the analyst desk would come up with, and then what reaction they would have from the audience. So I think they'll definitely be playing around with it a little more.
Yeah, I think they'll be using it a lot more for the quarters, the semis, and then the finals. But the only concern I have is that they may be overusing it. They might oversaturate, where half the show is literally analyst desk, and then it's just matches with the analyst desk in between. I think the best Reddit comment was someone was if they would stream a secondary stream with the analyst desk watching the games, I would watch that instead. It's
yeah.
It really just took off. I was really surprised how well received it was. I mean, yeah, and then besides that too, I mean, even though Gaming Gear EU and Mineski just really stunk it up, they had such a good crowd reaction as well. Because I mean, they were kind of the underdog kind of crowd favorites that everyone wanted to just kind of win a game. That I thought was really kind of it's sad to watch, but I mean, they did show some flashes of, okay, this team's pretty good. But I mean, I was surprised at the reaction that they got. You know, they didn't get the "they don't belong here" kind of reaction. They got the let's help them win. Let's hope they win a game. Let's cheer them on kind of feel, which I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, and was it just me, or did you really like the production, like the different videos that they made? I really enjoyed all of the video topics that they talked about, like, you know, in between, like the fillers, and it was so cool to watch some of, like, the production of.
Yeah, like, and I enjoyed some of the stuff, like, just kind of the funny stuff they did, like the off the riff video where it's like what happens between commercials that they put online, and just sort of all the interviews that Shox was doing, and I think they had Demons were doing some videos or doing some interviews as well, and they got a lot of content out. Like, I was surprised at the amount of content they really did just churn out in, like, even during the broadcast day. It wasn't even like afterwards or before. It was literally throughout the day. You'd get tons of content that they're just putting out on the spot.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really cool, and it was just, I've always enjoyed those little videos that they made in between the LCS. So
yeah, and they're always just kind of fun to watch. And so I mean, yeah, do you expect the level of production to kind of stay the same, and are they gonna change it up and make it probably a little bit more now that we're starting to get more into like serious matches?
I really wouldn't be surprised if they're planning to incorporate more, because you know how everybody was tired of watching, like, or like listening to the same music over and over again in between matches and stuff like that. So I definitely think they're looking or investing into producing more content.
Yeah, and I think that was like the big step of the analyst desk. So instead of getting this like really generic music, you got like Double Lift and Crepple like going at each other about EU and NA, or you got like Monty talking about Korea or something like that. Like, just, you have different stuff to go with now. You can send it to the analyst desk. You can send it to Shox for interviews, and I think they set it up to be able to keep it different and keep it not monotonous and a little different. So I mean, good job to Riot there. But my only concern again is just that they oversaturate it and maybe make us sick of it because of how much they're pushing that kind of stuff. But then again, I mean, there were a lot of games. Like, they played a lot of games in like the span of like a week. So I think with now that we're having a very low amount of games compared to what we just had, that maybe we'll have, you know, a little bit more time for filler and a little more time for some analyst kind of stuff or little different types of content. And maybe they'll go back to the music format just so they don't have to constantly be putting out all this stuff. Because that's a lot of work.
You want to listen to the same 3 songs over and over.
I mean, like that. I think as an audience member, that kind of. Okay, so like watching it from a stream and watching it as an audience member is a little different. Like, obviously, so when you're in there as an audience member, you kind of want time to talk with your friends or talk with people in the audience and sort of discuss things and have someone to talk to. When, you know, as you're on a stream, you want that content constantly going and you want the production. But if they're constantly doing that in the audience, or like for the live audience, then it kind of takes out the ability to communicate with the people around you, because you're always constantly paying attention to the screen.
Yeah. I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah. So that's the only thing that I'm worried about in terms of, you know, being a live audience member that would have a little bit of an issue. But yeah, so I mean, any thoughts on like the teams that got out? So we did have SKT1, OMG coming out of Group A. Group B we had Fnatic and Gambit. Any thoughts there?
Well, I definitely did not, or I didn't know. I've always been a Gambit Fnatic fan. Most of my favorite teams have actually been European teams, but
Michelle likes Europeans.
Oh,
duly noted.
Yeah, well, who doesn't like Fnatic? Like, come on. Anyway, yeah, the guys, I'm just a little surprised at Ozone not getting out.
Yeah, that was shocking. But they were really inconsistent, which is really weird.
Yeah. Like, I'm really, really happy. No, don't get me wrong. I'm ecstatic about 2 European teams because I was so worried because they didn't get a bye.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited to see Fnatic, and I'm so excited to see Gambit play. But I was just really, honestly, like, surprised at how inconsistent Ozone was.
Yeah.
So that definitely was a surprise for me. But I guess it wasn't a surprise after watching them play.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I thought coming into it was that I considered Dade the best or the second best mid laner in the world, and I thought he was just gonna kind of go off and go ham, and he didn't, and he just sort of played really inconsistently. Like he made a lot of moves that I wouldn't think he would make, like just like little kind of mental errors that kind of threw me off a little. And so my big thing was that I thought he was going to carry and like really set the tone, and he didn't really do that. Whereas like if you look at like SKT or OMG stuff like that, like Cool and Faker, like they set the tone for their teams. Like they carried so hard. Maybe Faker a little bit more than Cool, but I mean they played really really well. And you can do that with like Fnatic too. Like Xpeke played really well. And like even to a certain extent, like Gambit, like Alex H and all that kind of stuff. Like I consider the mid laner being like right now. I see like all the teams that got out have like really strong mid lanes. Like like that's like the core of what the group stage was to me. Like the mid lane matchup was by far the most important to me. Because like and you saw it, like the mid lane matchup was definitely the most featured matchup that the casters were looking at, and that the fans were kind of. The community was sort of saying, okay, who's going to win here? It was mainly discussions on the mid lane, and I think that changes a little bit going into quarters, because I mean some of the teams that aren't in quarter or that got the buys, so like you feel like Cloud9, like Meteos is a star for Cloud9, like it's not high, and so like I think it kind of shifts in that way, but I think there's still a lot of focus on that mid lane moving forward at least.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that because if you look at teams like Vulcan and if you look at their success in the past, it's all been in mandatory Cloud. If you look at his play, if he's playing well, the team plays well. So that's why I think that their weak link definitely was Dade, but as a team, they didn't have the same synergy. Like, they didn't have the same synergy as Fnatic had, or like Gambit. They were just so on point. You could definitely see the outcome of playing together for so long.
Yeah. And I think the weirdest thing to me was that they switched out Ohm for Looper. Like, that was weird to me. Why would you switch up your roster right before you go to World Playoffs? Like, that makes zero sense to me. Even if Looper's playing better, you can't replace the synergy, and it really kind of showed.
See, I actually kind of disagree with that because I think that having the ability to rotate between team members is really good as long as it's practice.
Yeah.
And I actually think Looper was the reason why they won the majority of their games that they did win.
Yeah.
So
I'm not arguing. I think he played probably the best. I think he performed the best. I just feel like when you have, like, if you put a superstar on a team that they haven't worked with, they might perform well individually, but the team, again, like the synergy is just not there. The communication, maybe like the comfort level, it just kind of throws things off. Even if he plays well individually, I mean, I just don't think that switching a roster up like that is what you really want to do. And even, like, I think Ohm was there. Like, I don't know why, if they're playing inconsistent, why wouldn't you switch it back? Like, or at least for one game, maybe give it a shot and say, hey, okay, here, we'll swap it out and see what happens. But they kind of just stuck with him.
Yeah, well, I don't think they thought that Looper was the problem, though.
Yeah.
Because if you watched in their later games, you notice that Dade ended up having to switch up his champions.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And he ended up played Ezreal his last few games, I think.
Yeah, he played a lot. He ended up playing a lot of mid Ezreal.
Yeah. I'm sure that's like a comfort pick, but like I feel like there were a lot more problems than just like the synergy between top lane and like the rest of the team.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like for them it's okay for them to switch out that top lane.
I think like the first games they played with Looper and he played like that proxy singed. That was he played such a great Singed, and then people started having ban it, and I was like, okay, maybe he knows what he's doing. And eventually, like, I stopped focusing on Looper because I was just looking at Dade, like, wow, why isn't he performing like I thought he would? But yeah, I was surprised. So Group A, I think before I called SKT and OMG, so I mean that wasn't a real big surprise, and they really did kind of stomp the rest of their group. But I mean, looking at Group B was a lot more competitive than I thought it was. Like Vulcan almost got out, and then of course Gambit and Fnatic got out. I didn't think Fnatic was going to get out at all, but they just sort of trounced the rest of their group. So
Yeah, it was really disappointing watching Fnatic's first game on the first day. It was pretty disappointing.
Why?
So that's why because they
just like-
played really poorly.
yeah,
Like I heard that they were arguing the entire time. So I was just really concerned. So I didn't really know if they were gonna get out or not.
yeah, that's just, I don't know, it's crazy. And then so of course, you know, we had Mineski and Gaming Gear EU kind of bringing in the rear. I think Gaming Gear EU announced that they're leaving their sponsor now to form a new team, but it's gonna be the same roster, right? I think they announced that this morning.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's really cool. I think that it's cool that they're giving it a shot still and trying to qualify the LCS. So here's my idea. Okay, so here was my idea. I want to hear what you think. So for Gaming Gear EU, they were the wildcard team, right? That international wildcard. And so my idea was have that international wildcard, but then throw them in with teams. So like the third place team. So like IG from China, CLG from NA. Who else? EG from EU, and like have those teams that like barely missed the cut, have them all play like a mini group stage with that international wildcard thrown in, and then whoever gets out of that gets the wildcard spot. So instead of making just a regular international wildcard spot, it's like a full-on like wildcard spot with teams that barely missed the cut, so they get one more shot at it against like teams from all over the place.
That'd be cool if if they could do that.
Yeah, I know. That was just like my initial idea. Where it's like, okay, so it gives them another shot. They have to play more matches, so they may, have to pull out more tricks and stuff like that. But it does give them another shot to get in the playoffs. Because I feel like there's a lot of great teams that missed the cut that I feel were ahead of Gaming Gear EU. And so like EG, right? EG is in the European LCS. Gaming Gear EU couldn't make it into the LCS. I think they missed out on. I think they lost their qualifier for the EU LCS, and so like why? My big thing was like why should they get in the playoffs when EG just barely missed the cut, kind of a thing, and it was just because of the way it was formatted, and so I was trying to figure out a way to maybe give them another chance, or maybe go head to head, just really figure out who deserves that spot. And of course, Medeski deserved to be there anyway because they did win their bracket. But I feel like that international wildcard thing needs to be tweaked a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
A lot of people were upset that a European team got the wild card.
Yeah, like because my big thing was like, okay, they had a chance to qualify for the LCS. Like that international wildcard is supposed to be for teams that do not have a league in their respective region. Right? So why did a European team get it, which is really weird to me. So again, having a full-on wild card would fix that whole thing. So that's my riot pleas for the day. So, yeah. Any thoughts before we move on to semis, semi quarters?
No, I think you pretty much covered it about the wild card thing. Yeah, I know a lot of people who are definitely a little weirded out by them getting in, but that's okay.
All right, so let's have you start off the quarters. Anything you're excited? What's your matchup to watch here? We have
matchup to watch.
We have the Gamma Bears versus SKT. We have Nyugen Black Sword versus Gambit. We have Royal Club versus OMG. We have Cloud9 versus Fnatic. So I already know.
Well, first of all, my heart is breaking. My heart is breaking.
For that last
my
matchup?
2 European teams are playing against other teams that I really like to watch, so my heart is breaking for that. But I think the matchup definitely to watch for quarters is Royal versus OMG.
Yeah, that has to be it.
Yeah. Like,
I was very sad at the draw. I really wanted to see
Yeah.
them sort of hold off a little later.
everybody wanted it to hold off a little.
Yeah. I'm actually curious to see that Cloud9 Fnatic matchup. I'm really curious to see that.
See, that's breaking my heart because I've liked Fnatic longer than I've liked Cloud9, but I really enjoy both of the teams. So.
Well, so you have like she has a crush on Meteos, so that's a big thing too.
Well, I have a crush on a lot of people, but yeah, it'll be a really sad game to watch.
I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be a great game to watch, though. I mean, I'm curious to see how this is all gonna end up. I haven't seen a lot of Gamma Bears, so I'm curious to see how that goes.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Honestly, all of these matchups are really hard to call because I'm pretty sure a lot of the groups teams didn't show anything that was like significantly special.
Yeah,
Or
I mean
like
they
anything
really
like special, like, you know.
they really stayed in their wheelhouse.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
They really stayed with champions that are really comps that they've used to playing, or we're used to seeing them play.
Yeah.
So I mean I'm curious to see how it goes. I mean there's really I guess like that Cloud9 Fnatic match is the one I'm watching for the most. I think that's the one that's really kind of curious to me because we've seen Royal Club versus OMG, like we've seen that happen. If anyone watches the LPL, you've seen that happen before. I think. Do you watch the LPL?
I haven't caught that many games.
Okay. So yeah, like if you watch the LPL, we see that happen a lot. The games go really fast. The game goes crazy fast. And so like it's. I honestly that's like a coin flip to me. Honestly, a lot of these, pretty much all these are like a coin flip to me.
It's also because we don't know what Nyugen Black Sword
we haven't
looks
seen
like
them
right now.
We haven't seen them in so long.
Yeah.
But then Monty was talking about it on the analyst desk, like I think at the end of group stages, about like how people are playing them in scrims and saying they're playing amazing for like the past month or so. And I know they flew out Nyugen White Shield. They flew them out to the US with them so they could scrim.
Yeah.
Like I think they're gonna surprise people as well, even though they're the top seed out of Korea. I think everyone's kind of infatuated with SKT right now, and I think they're gonna kind of show like why they got that first seed in the first place, which I'm really kind of curious to see. But yeah, so any thoughts there? Anything to add?
No. Besides that, I think you're right. Cloud9 and Fnatic will definitely be an entertaining game.
Yeah, and then plus that, I think that's where the fans are looking toward the most as well. Like that, I think those are the teams that people know the most, and the most familiar with, just because of the LCS coverage and things like that. So, yeah, I think that's definitely one to watch. I'm curious to see how Gambit does in that, Korean dominated division or bracket up there. And also, I think Cloud9 or Fnatic, whoever wins that match has a really good shot at making it to Worlds. Like. Because they're gonna win that game, and then they only have to deal with one Chinese team, and then you just kind of go through it from there. And
I like you say only one Chinese.
Well, the thing that I've noticed with Chinese teams is like they're so aggressive and they play so risky that I feel like all of their wins when they snowball ahead, it's like on the verge of like, oh god, this could go either way, and then they just pull it off. Like I feel like all their early dives and like the 3-man tower dives they do and all that kind of really aggressive play. Like one little mess up and it's gonna just completely go wrong.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But I don't know if the other regions have figured out how to counter that yet. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I mean, we'll see what happens. SKT played it pretty well. To be fair, though.
Yeah.
SKT kind of got it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was laughing too because you started to see SKT and some of the Korean teams really kind of start playing really more aggressive. After kind of watching OMG for a little bit. Like, as the group stages went on, they got a little bit more aggressive. And that maybe they're just getting more comfortable with the opponents they're playing against. But you could kind of see them getting a little more aggressive.
Yeah.
So, yeah, cool. So, I don't think either one of us are going tomorrow or Tuesday to quarters. I will be there for semis. I will be there both days for semis, and then Michelle, I think we're trying to figure out what's going on with her.
Yeah.
And then of course we'll both be at Worlds.
Yay.
High five! We'll both be at Worlds, and so yeah. Again, I think we'll be back before Worlds, probably talking about our expectations for what's going to happen there, and things like that. So yeah, I'm pretty excited with how it's gone so far. I think the reaction's been really great. I think Riot's done a great job managing it. Anything to add? Do we need an analyst desk to finish this off?
I think that's pretty much everything. We'll see if the quarters go unbelievably crazy and just like blow our expectations, then we'll definitely probably have a show before.
Yeah, because if these games go nuts, because we'll have a good. The only reason we're doing a show tonight is because it's Sunday night and it's the night before we start quarters. But yeah, I mean we're gonna have a good like 3 to 4 days to actually do something. Maybe a show or two for semis. So I mean we'll maybe do that one, but definitely doing one before grand finals because that's really important. But yeah, other than that, I think we've discussed quite a bit. I think the community reaction's been great, really positive. I haven't seen too much like mainstream media, but I think that'll catch on as we move into more serious matches. So yeah. So again, I'm Kid Liquid here with Kitesing. Do you want to plug anything?
You can follow me at Twitter, KitingLol. That's pretty much it.
Cool. So yeah, you can follow me at Kid Liquid. We are both part of SoCal Esports, so make sure you check out SoCalEsports.com for all the events that are happening there. And yeah, other than that, you can tweet at us, don't forget to comment and post and share this link with all of your friends. And yeah, have a very good day and enjoy the rest of the World Playoffs.
Good night.
Night.